Chris Williamson shares a profound insight on productivity, inspired by a podcast from Joe Hudson, that sheds light on the difficult transition everyone faces in their career, moving from being an operator to an idea person. This transition challenges a common notion of work and success, ultimately encouraging a shift in how we approach productivity and meaningful work. At the start of your career, the primary value you bring to the table is your work rate. You lack experience, and perhaps even natural talent, so you have no choice but to work harder than everyone else. You tackle everything yourself, from answering emails and handling calls to writing copy, hiring contractors, and more. At this stage, being busy is seen as a sign of success because your work rate is what moves you forward. However, at some point, this phase must end, and you need to let go of doing everything yourself. This may happen when you hire staff or receive a promotion that requires you to think strategically rather than merely executing tasks. Joe Hudson suggests that, at this stage of your career, your job is not to work hard but to generate great ideas. However, this shift can be difficult. Over the years, you've built a habit of equating busyness with success. You've conditioned yourself to take on the hardest tasks, believing that this will lead to progress. The problem is that being busy does not necessarily mean you're being effective. It's much easier to track how many emails you've sent or how many hours you've worked, but it's much harder to assess if your efforts are truly moving you toward your goals. One of the core challenges in this shift is the dopamine fix you get from feeling busy. When you're constantly occupied, it's easy to convince yourself that you're being productive. You might feel important or valuable because your calendar is full and you're constantly interacting with people. The more calls and emails you handle, the more you feel like you matter. This can become a trap, where being busy substitutes for being truly effective. Furthermore, societal norms reward visible productivity rather than quiet, effective work. There's an assumption that the harder you work, the better the outcomes will be, even if the tasks you're engaged in don't significantly impact your long-term goals. A badge of honor is often worn by those who appear to be constantly working, even if it leads to burnout. The idea of grinding through work is often celebrated, and people are praised for their visible busyness rather than the quieter work that actually drives success. Another challenge in this transition is the paradox that, while many people aspire to reach a point in their career where they don't have to do the grunt work anymore, letting go of this work can feel unsettling. Many people derive their sense of self-worth from being busy, overcoming obstacles, and pushing through difficult tasks. So, when they reach the point where they don't have to perform those tasks anymore, it can feel strange, even uncomfortable. The question becomes, what now? If your satisfaction has been derived from constant struggle and hard work, how do you find fulfillment when that work is no longer necessary? This mindset contributes to an inability to savor successes. People are often so focused on what's next that they don't allow themselves to appreciate the progress they've made. They're constantly looking over their shoulders, waiting for the next goal to chase, rather than enjoying the moment or celebrating their accomplishments. This endless pursuit of completion leaves people feeling like they're never quite there. This lack of satisfaction is reflected in the common regrets people have when they reach the end of their lives, such as wishing they hadn't worked so much or that they had spent more time nurturing relationships. The central question Hudson poses is, what are you working for? What is the ultimate purpose of your work? Are you just cranking out tasks, sending emails, and participating in meetings because it gives you a sense of productivity, or are you actively moving toward the life you want to create? The issue is that the grunt work, early in your career, is easy to measure. You can see how many emails you've sent, how many calls you've made, and how many tasks you've completed. But measuring progress toward a meaningful life goal is much harder. It's a much more nebulous, long-term process that requires thoughtful introspection. The challenge is that, early on in your career, the work you do, whether it's answering emails or completing menial tasks, seems like it's getting you closer to your goals. As you climb the career ladder, you might carry this mindset with you, thinking that constant busyness is the only way to achieve success. However, this approach can become detrimental once you've reached a point where you don't need to do the grunt work anymore. Holding on to this mindset will cap your progress and prevent you from evolving into a more effective and strategic thinker. One of the reasons it's hard to let go of busyness is that society often rewards people who are visibly busy. The idea of sitting back, relaxing, and doing nothing productive can seem counterproductive in a world that constantly glorifies hustle culture. Yet, sometimes, the most productive thing you can do is to step away and recharge. For example, taking a break, going for a walk, or even lying on a beach can help you reset and return with a clearer, more creative mindset. But these moments of relaxation are often undervalued in a culture that celebrates constant motion. Williamson also raises the idea that this obsession with busyness is rooted in an outdated industrial age mindset. In the past, work was more about visible, tangible outputs, like making widgets or producing something physical. Today, many jobs, especially those in knowledge industries, require more quiet thinking and long-term strategic planning, yet we continue to measure success in terms of short-term productivity. Williamson ends by highlighting how difficult it is for people to accept the idea that relaxation and strategic thinking are sometimes the best use of their time. The transition from being an operator to an idea person requires a deep change in mindset, which can be uncomfortable. It's a shift that challenges the very foundation of how we measure success and productivity. The challenge is not only to let go of the busyness, but to find new ways of working that lead to meaningful progress. Williamson urges listeners to reflect on their own goals and to recognize that sometimes taking a step back is the best way to move forward. In conclusion, this lesson encourages individuals to question the idea of productivity and to embrace a more thoughtful, strategic approach to their work. While working hard and being busy may have worked early in your career, true success lies in moving beyond that and focusing on what truly matters, creating ideas, making long-term plans, and working smarter, not harder.